Good morning. Good morning, everybody in the room and everyone on the Zoom. I hope you're all okay. Everyone well? In good health? Yeah? Healthy-ish. Good. Bring yourself up to standing, please. Bring your feet together, face towards this side of the room. Feet together or close. Toes spread. Nasal breathing, if you can. Organic investigative movement, such as movement of your feet. And breath coming out. Like just natural, the breath coming out. So we're going beyond thinking into breathing. Shoulders down, eyes ahead. Yeah. Raise your arms up when you're ready. Breathe through your nose. And enjoy if you want. So enjoyment means feeling into it, the Sanskrit word bhogaha, nominative singular, meaning enjoyment or experience, but it infers feeling directly. Pratyaksha means the direct way of knowing. Feeling directly into the body, into the lower back, beyond thinking. So we think about things, we think about ourselves, we think about external things, internal things. But yoga says go beyond thinking. And so what is beyond thinking? Well, first of all, you go through thinking into feeling, into investigation, investigative feeling. An investigative feeling invites us to take deeper breaths and to let go of tension. Tension that's created by doubt, that's created by thinking. If you're not sure if thinking creates doubt, think about it. And you'll soon know. Bend the ankles, knees, and hips and hinge forwards from the hip joints all the way down towards the floor, stretching across the whole back. Jaw soft, eyes soft. If possible, the hands might go flat. It depends how long your arms are. And of course, we understand that everything is everything. That's the number one thing to understand in yoga. So that means if you move your body, part of the release will have to be the breath as well. Yeah, when the body needs to release, the breath's got to go along with that, which is one of the wonderful things about yoga. Not only does the breath have to go, but the mind has to go along as well. Whatever the mind has taken hold of, and human beings, of course, we're very sticky. We pick up a lot of stuff. The mind takes hold of a lot of stuff, but in letting go of the body, you have to let go of whatever the mind has taken hold of. Squat a little lower if you can. Raise your arms up behind you like you're skiing fast downhill. So you're making yourself aerodynamic. Then arms forwards and up in whatever height of squat or udgata that you want. So it could be low, it could be high, it could be middle. You're just experimenting, you're playing with it, whatever height of squat you want. But the important thing is your breath. It's the indicator of release. Otherwise, we can think we're releasing because we're very good at thinking about things, but only the breath can tell us that we actually are. Stand up tall when you're ready. Big wide circle. Good job. Hands to the heart center. Take a deep breath, or 2 or 3 or 4. So you really start feeling that the breath is beginning to circulate, which means thinking or the mind is circulating, meaning it's not getting caught on anything in particular. It's circulating without getting snagged, without getting caught. Deep, natural, honest breathing. Same pose, but with the feet apart, hip width. Have a look down at your feet. Make sure they're not turned out or turned in, or one forwards or one back. And hip width is ascertained by pushing your pelvis camply to one side, and you'll feel that one bone, or the bony prominence, sticks out furthest. That's the line you draw straight down to the little toe side of the foot. That's how you ascertain hip width in this context.
Raise your arms, inhale, lift, exhale, bend ankles, knees, and hips, and be as sort of primal as you want, right? Move in a way that's intuitive, and bring your hands again flat to the floor. So it's the same as we did before, but this time the feet are apart. You can feel all those muscles across your back getting stretched over the ribs, over the spinal column, via the ribs, via the spinal column. And again, let's remind ourselves that fundamental number one thing to learn if you're a yoga practitioner, to understand, to live by, that everything is everything. So letting go of the muscles will necessarily require letting go of the breath. And letting go of the breath will necessarily require letting go of whatever the mind has taken hold of. You don't have to let go of what the mind has taken hold of, but you can't release the body unless you do. But it's not, even the language makes it sound like you are supposed to do something. The very construct of you melts away into this intuitive, breath-centered holism, where everything is everything. Again, we're going to raise our arms up behind us, like we're skiing. Then the arms come forwards and up to whatever height of squat you want. It could be low, middle, or between low and middle, and or high. What's suitable for your knees, and that's important. What's suitable for your heels. We're not turning the feet out. That's something to watch out for. It's part of the discipline. Breathing calmly all the time. Inhale with strong, strong, strong legs. Good job. Big, wide circle. Hands to the heart. Take deep breaths. 2, 3, 4 or more. Hopefully the heart is pumping. That means blood is circulating. You'll be breathing more deeply. That means everything's circulating. When the breath is circulating, so is the mind. So that's what we want, circulation. And Buddhists sometimes call it non-attachment, but isn't it nicer to call it just circulation? Interlace your fingers, stretch your arms diagonally down. Raise the arms up without impinging on the neck. Everything should flow everywhere. So it starts with the breath. That flow starts with the breath. Feel the roots of your neck, where your neck intersects with your back. Just loosen off. Loosen off. Tone your tummy so that if I were to flick it, and I promise not to, it would make the sound like a North African drum, like a doumbek, because it's drawn in and up. And because it's drawn in and up, you'll feel, some of you will feel, maybe all of you will feel, a little support at the pelvic floor. It's so subtle. It's not mechanical. It's so subtle. You can tune in on it and tune it out of any modes that are mechanical, gripping, grasping, trying, struggling. We're tuning it out of that into intuitive flow, spontaneous response. Make sure those neck roots are really passive. Take a big wide circle, hands to hips, step the feet generously. Step the feet wide. Very good, very good. From the hip joints, that's the top of the outer thighs. Let's just find where those are with a sassy shimmy, side to side. So if I asked you to put your hands on your hips, you'd put them here, but I'm asking you to feel your hip joints, and that's here, lower down. And that's where the pelvis articulates with the thighs, and that's where we're going to raise our arms up from. So when you're ready, raise your arms up from your hip joints. Now, because we're used to doing things in a sort of superficial, arbitrary way, it's quite possible that we might not be raising our arms from our hip joints. We just heard Jim Tarrant say, raise up your arms up from your hip joints, and we presumed that because we heard it, that we're doing it. But we have to double check. We have to actually feel into the body. It takes me a long time to actually be honest, to tune in on actually feeling where my hip joints are and actually raising up from them. It takes us beyond thinking into this direct experience. When we're ready, feeling from the hip joints, we're going to turn back toes in, front foot and leg out. Whole body's going to turn around that way. So what you want to do with your front foot is walk it across the width of the mat away from me. The back heel is going to lift up and turn out and then come down again. So you're really squaring up in that direction. Again, that light tone of the tummy is reiterative.
So your tummy goes in and up, and then again in and up. It's not like a current that you're sending through that picks up more and more fibers over time. The pelvic floor has a buoyancy or a support. We call it Muladhara, root support. Inhale, raise from the hip joints. Exhale, bend your front knee. Focus on the inner groin of the back leg, and focus on it in the sense that we're loosening. You can do anything that loosens that inner groin, anything with the back foot, lifting whatever part of it you need to or want to. But loosen the inner groin of the back leg so that the muscle can twist and turn forwards and release upwardly with the breath. So lots of little movements might be helpful as a way of tuning in. The big muscle that we want to release here is, of course, the psoas. This is Virabhadra, meaning good hero. Bhadra means good. Inhale, come on up on the inhalation. Turn back to the front, take a big circle with your arms, hands on your hips. Let me hear you take a deep breath. Or two. Or three. So when you're feeling the breath, you know that things are beginning to circulate. When things begin to circulate, the mind is not taking hold of anything, and you move smoothly through things, through life. Raise your arms, turn your palms, lift up from the hip joints. So that takes a level of honesty. Me personally, I'm very prone to just hearing things and sort of believing that they're happening rather than actually really calling myself to presence. So let's make sure we really call ourselves to presence. We're going to turn the whole body around the other way. So when you're ready, turn around that way. Walk your front foot further across the width of the mat, away from me. Lift the back heel up, turn it out. Before you bend the knee, get the body turned around. Then with tone in the tummy, inhale. Exhale, bend your front knee, again from the hip joints. Good. Tone the tummy, breathe deep. Actually, just walk that foot there, just to here. Perfect, great, good job, looks good. Raise from your hip joints. Light tone, reiterative tone in the tum. A lot of yoga teachers, maybe even the majority, have been telling us for the last few years to raise our arms, but keep our arms away from the ears, drop the shoulders, all these kind of things. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say raise your arms strongly. Don't keep them away from your ears. Draw the hands towards each other by lifting up. And of course, if you don't want to be tight in the trapezius, which I believe is what the yoga teachers are reaching for when they say, well, that stuff about raise the arms but drop the shoulders. And so if you don't want tightness in the trapezius, loosen the trapezius. Just feel into the area, breathe, but keep the arms up, keep the hands towards each other, keep the side ribs in. So arms close to the ears, not bent at the elbow, straight at the arm, lifting up from the side ribs. Reiterative movements that release the psoas on the back groin, inner back groin. Inhale with the pelvic floor in your awareness. Come on up. Take a big wide circle. Hands on the hips, feet face forwards. Breathe through your nose if you can. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Turn your toes in towards each other. Spread out the little toes again and again through a process of calmness and reiteration. To give you a sense of the timelessness of it, for the last 35 years, I've been spreading my little toes, broadening across the balls of the feet, placing and replacing the fatty tissue, and I don't feel I'm anywhere near anything at all. And that's exactly the point. The instructions engage you with the infinite. So when you're refining, don't look for the end, look for the beginning. Look for the beginning of the investigation into the feet, but your mind will make up an end that's arbitrary, that's made up. But the reality is, until there's full, total presence, bless you, and again, bless you, until there's full, total presence, then we need to reiterate. We're drawing everything together, every single cell. So even as I'm talking to you, I'm reiterating my feet. So that can go on, is what I'm saying. Lift up from your inner groins, inhale. Exhale, hinge from your hip joints. We know where those are now. Rise up from the thighs, Fingertips on the floor. You can use a block if it's tricky to reach the floor. Watch out for your heels turning in or toes turning out. We don't want that. The toes can turn in, but not out. If your toes are turning out, immediately recognize it and turn the toes in a little bit. It helps to keep us broad and spacious across the back of the pelvis. And then come back to your feet again. Come back to your feet again with endless patience. You can raise one foot or the front of one foot, then the front of the other. Perhaps you can sense that you can expand and stretch on a molecular level, molecules, molecule by molecule. Reaching out, placing, replacing the feet is an endless job. And Patanjali says that yogins should absolutely engage with the endless, the ananta. So if your mind says, I'm bored, or what's next? The question is there in truth full balance across the feet? Is every molecule balanced evenly across, say, the balls of the feet? There's no rush to do it. I'm still on it 35 years later. And, I probably will be on it another 35 years if I live that long. So, inner groins lifting, outer hips deep, gluteal creases deep, top of the thighs lifting. These are all meditative instructions. If anyone feels that the pelvis is released and the lower back is dipping down to the floor, and if that's making the back tight, you can, of course, release the back by going lower, but we're not trying to go lower. I'm just saying go lower if your back dips down. If it mounds up, don't go lower. If it dips down, then you can go lower. The main focus is on the feet, the balance, the rebalance, the endlessness of that. Inclinations, such as the little toe tucking under, are worked on. Fingertips coming as high as you can. Walk your feet a little bit closer to each other. Come as high as you can with the fingertips and lead with the bottom of the breastbone. Coming up, well done, good job. Walk your feet towards each other, breathing calm and easy. Lay down on your back with a belt nearby and a block underneath your head. Very simple. So laying down on your back, the block perhaps under your head, and a belt in your hands or on your tummy, just ready. Just take 3 deep breaths, letting the lower back release itself. Of course, if it turns into 4 deep breaths, that's fine. Or 5. Or whatever. Deep breaths are what we're interested in. So we think of it like a tight fist opening to an open palm. Think of our body like that. Think of our breath like that. Like a tight fist coming to an open palm. Like a flower in the sun. Like the full moon coming out from behind the clouds. It's that kind of opening. When you're ready, take the belt and take both feet. We're going to lift up so we can bring the belt around both feet. Perhaps some of you might be able to draw the pelvis up for a moment so that the abdominal muscles are really engaged. And having done so, we'll then bring the head back down and raise the legs up, giving yourself as much slack on the belt as you need for your legs to be straight. Make sure not to hold breath at all. Relax the lower back, relax the eyes, relax the jaw. Now, if you find your feet are being compressed into each other, please take them a little wider and also spread each foot individually. So I do that by padding my feet against the belt, broadening the toes, pulling back, for example, the big toe side of the foot, and then pulling it back on. What you're trying to do is get space across your feet and really deep, reiterative contact with the belt and the feet. Keep the neck relaxed, breathe through your nose. Jaw soft, eyes soft, breathing deep. This is Urdhva Prasrita Padasana, meaning upwardly raising the feet. And one of the things we really want to get into the body is calmness. Is calmness. We often say in yoga that calmness conditions connection. Calmness conditions connection. Now, not only is this calmness in the feet generated through reiteration of movement of your feet, purposed to this goal of calmness, but also we want to start feeling into the legs. So we can feel now into the calf muscles. Now, particularly the gastrocnemius, the ones closest to the surface, and the gastrocnemius shares the calcaneus tendon, that big tendon that goes to your heel, with another muscle, the soleus, beneath it. And the gastrocnemius divides as it comes up from that Achilles heel or the calcaneus tendon, as it comes into the muscle belly from that tendon. It divides as it comes towards the top into two separate heads. So the calf muscle has two separate heads, gastrocnemius. See if you can feel into a stretch on the medial or inner heads of both legs without holding your breath. Just see if you can get a bit more elongation on the inside, the big toe side. If impatience or restlessness comes up, that's normal. That's not you, that's society's conditioned that. So rather than just saying, well, I am society, we can step out of that by noticing with kindness if any restlessness occurs. And coming back again and again to the medial heads of the gastrocnemius muscles. Really honestly taking time to feel into the muscles. Similarly, on the lateral heads, the outer little toe side, can we feel into lengthening the insides of the gastrocnemius, the big toe side, and at the same time, the little toe side, without holding the breath? The answer to that riddle is meditation. It comes spontaneously in the attempt to solve that riddle. How can there be an extension both sides of the gastrocnemius without holding the breath? And that's just the beginning. We can also talk about the kneecaps, the patellas. Can you feel both kneecaps without holding your breath? Can you pull up from what are called the tibial tuberosities? That's where the kneecap attaches to the shin bone via the patella tendon. Can you feel into that bony prominence of the top of the shin and pull up through the kneecaps, through the front thighs, through the quadricep muscles, all without holding the breath? breathing freely. We could go on, but we'll come down, we'll release our legs from that pose, put the belt to one side and give the legs a hug. So with the knees either together or apart, wrap your arms around your legs and have a bit of a roll about. You're looking for sensations that make you let go, you know, that invite you anyway to let go. And of course, when you're used to yoga, when you're familiar with yoga, you've begun to learn to trust in letting go as your superpower rather than hoarding, holding, grasping, you know, accumulating. We're miseducated, aren't we? We're miseducated to believe the more knowledge we have, the more things we have, the more friends we have, the more whatever we have, then the better we are. But yoga says, actually, that's incorrect. The more open we are, yoga says, the more we let go of whatever the mind has taken hold of, then the more our superpower or superpowers manifest. Those are the powers to know, to act on that knowing, and to want to act on that knowing. Okay, if you're ready, when you're ready, you can release your feet back down to the floor. We're going to remove the head support and put our hands there instead with the fingers interlaced. We're going to take 3 deep breaths, at least 3, maybe more. With the jaw soft, with the eyes soft. Natural, honest breath. Noticing the way things are. Right at the beginning of the Majjhima Nikaya of the Pali Canon, the earliest collection of Buddhist works that are still extant, still exist. The Buddha gives this very interesting sutra saying we perceive things, then we conceive things, and then we attach to them. He says just stay at the level of perception. So we perceive the bodily sensations. Normally, we would then say, this is my sensation, or it's happening to me, or I'm within that sensation, or it belongs to me. But the Buddha just says, no, just perceive. There's the sensations, and leave it at that. And that includes thoughts, you know, thoughts let they come and go, that's fine. You know, and thoughts have different qualities. Sometimes they're tense, sometimes they're relaxed. So that's fine. Relaxed thought, tense thought, relaxed body, tense body. Doesn't matter. Just let it be. And then the quality of our awareness becomes deeper and the quality of our response becomes deeper. We're going to lift our feet next. So keep the hands behind your head, lift your feet, keep your knees bent. Meditate, meaning absorb yourself, in the legs drifting towards the pelvis and the back softening. We're not going to pull our legs towards the pelvis. We're going to let them drift in. It's very, very different. Very tempting because we are often in a rush. Very tempting to pull them in, but we're not. We're letting them drift in. Now we're going to lift the head up as well. So the head is lifted and the legs are drifted and the breath is shifted out of tension into release. And we're meditating on the living, changing now. From here, we're going to extend both our legs up to about 45 degrees relative to the floor, keeping the lower back really deep in contact with the floor, and then retract the legs back. Breathe easy. Then just one leg out to about 45 degrees relative to the floor. I've still kept my head up. It keeps a bit more abdominal flexion.
You can if you want, or if you need to rest, you can. Let's go to the other side, the same 45-degree angle with one leg. Importantly, breath. So if the lower back's too tense for you to breathe, bring your leg a little higher up. Retract that leg back when you're ready. Back to 45 with both legs. Really pull it back from the tummy. That's what keeps it stable, the tummy. The legs are being held by the tummy. Then let the legs drift all the way up to 90 degrees relative to the floor and the head come down. Then let me hear you take a deep breath in and out. And maybe a few would be great. If a few deep breaths could just pass through you, that would be really great. And by letting the breath pass through us, we're opening, we're becoming an open palm from a closed fist. We're a flower opening in the sunlight. Well, we are the full moon coming out from behind a cloud. When you're ready, lower the leg furthest away from me, down to about 45 degrees. Lift your head and turn towards your raised leg, and your raised leg towards your head, and breathe. Very calmly, return and repeat on the other side. No force means listen and respond. Good, back to center. Head down, bend your knees. Take a deep breath that I can hear. Yeah, maybe a few of those. Just really letting go. The open palm. When we're open, then we're not biased. We're not coming with prejudgment. And we're not carrying stuff over from the past. Each new moment is new if we want it to be. But so often we don't allow the moment to be new because we come into each new moment and then look back behind us and sling a lasso into the past, grab stuff from it and heave it over into the present. It all takes place in a blink of an eye. But each moment is new. It doesn't have to be adulterated by anything at all from the past. It's new. Particles of reality appearing out of nowhere and disappearing. Little mesons that are communicating the strong nuclear force in the nucleus of atoms. Mesons come out of nowhere and disappear into nowhere. Hundreds of them, thousands of them in less than a second, appear and disappear. And those are the things that are holding the nucleus together. And those are the things that make reality seem real. But they're nothing. They come from nothing. They go back to nothing. Reality is new. Open the angle at the back of your knees, please, to about 90 degrees, like these. See? Sorry, it's a poem. Lift your head up. Take the elbow that's furthest from me and the knee that's closest to me towards each other. Of course, they don't have to reach. That's just the general direction of travel. And then, as calmly as you can, you do the same the other way. Try not to yank on the neck. Try to breathe more freely. One more time on each side, but with a variation. The variation is raising the opposite leg and descending it to 45 3 times. But make sure it's not an exercise, it's a meditation. So micro feel everything. Obviously, you do the same the other way when you're ready. Try not to tough it out. Try not to tough it out. Be calm, be spacious. Keep the lower back close to the floor. Okay, back to center when you're ready. Head down, feet down, deep breaths, plural. 2, 3, 4 more or more deep, 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 deep breaths. So that's what really matters, that just letting the breath go, letting the body go, trusting emptiness, this open palm. It's always about the open palm, trusting emptiness. Again and again. And every moment, you have a new opportunity to just let emptiness be the guide rather than accumulation. The yoga texts are filled with instructions not to hoard or take or grasp or grab or accumulate. We're going to get the feet close to the bum when we're ready, with the feet a little way apart. Hands are going to stay behind the head. We're going to lift the bum up when we're ready. So when you're ready, lift your bum up, give it a shake or a bounce or a tilt or a sway. We just want to loosen our lower backs. So bouncing, tilting, swaying, swooping, whatever works to loosen the lower back. Importantly, not holding the breath at all. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Lifting, bouncing, swaying, tilting. In a sense, we can tune in on this muladhara, this root support, which is not mechanical, but definitely powerful at the pelvic floor. It's not mechanical, but it's powerful. It's an upward energy. It's maintaining energy, awareness, consciousness in the central channel of the body. Come down slowly when you're ready. Drift down. Release your hands from behind your head and take your belt back into your hands. Couple of deep breaths. Raise the belt straight up above you. Take the leg that's furthest away from me and bring the belt around the front of the heel, meaning that the belt goes where the heel intersects with the foot arch, so that you should have some contact with the heel and the belt, and then the rest of the belt is in contact with the beginning of the foot arches. You walk up the belt until your arms are straight, but give yourself enough slack that your leg can be straight as well. So if you make your belt too short, you'll have to have your leg bent. So make sure your leg is straight, give yourself enough slack. But at the same time, don't have your elbows bent. Walk up the belt. You got it. Breath, 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 breath. Relax your neck. Relax the lower back. Relax the shoulders. Take deeper breaths. Extend the lower leg with a view to extend the inner groin to make space. Keeping the jaw soft, keeping the eyes soft, keeping the tongue soft. Now, to get into your inner groin takes repetition, perseverance, and calmness. A lot, like bucket loads of calmness. So to get into the inner groin of your lower leg, experiment. Move your lower foot, move the leg generally. Experiment as many times in as many ways as you want until you begin to feel a sense of getting access. Calmness gives access. Getting access to the inner groin. Come back to it again and again. Now hold the belt with one hand only, same hand as the raised leg. The other hand goes on the other thigh, and it can just stay there, keeping the thigh from tensing up. The leg moves towards the head and then out to its own side without holding the breath. Keep the jaw soft, keep the eyes soft, keep breathing. Don't rush, take it slow, take it slow. Good, good, good. The lower your leg goes to the floor, the closer to enlightenment you are. It's a lie. It's not true. It makes no difference how far your leg is from the floor. What makes a difference is that you're breathing into the sensations of stretch that you're experiencing. And that's all. That's all that matters. You're breathing into the sensations of stretch that you're experiencing. Bring your leg back up when you're ready in your own time on the inhalation. Once your leg is up, bend the lower leg, release the upper leg, both feet on the floor. Let me hear a deep breath from everybody. And a few of those deep breaths come and go and come and go and come and go and come and go.
So there's a real sense of openness, there's a real sense of giving, there's a real sense of letting go. When you're ready, you know what to do next, I expect. Being intelligent bipedal creatures as we are, relatively intelligent, then we'll bring the belt around the front of the heel and into the foot arches. What I call a PP, a precise placement. Relax your neck, make sure you've got lots of slack on the belt so your leg can actually be straight. Don't make the belt too tight. Check in with the breath, let it come and go. Really deep, really natural. Jaw soft, neck soft. When ready, extend the lower leg with a view to feeling more and more sensually into the inner groin. So it's sensual like a kiss, or it's sensual like feeling the sun on your face, early morning, warm sun in the spring. Or it's sensual like putting your nose in a rose and reposing in the smell that comes from that rose. You know, that's kind of sensuality that we're looking at in yoga, and especially regarding the inner groin at the moment of the lower leg. To get into the body, it's not a case of deciding to and becoming a person who takes an action. To get into the leg, we need the 3 C's of yoga: calmness, conditions, connection. You want to connect to the inner groin, it's more calmness. It's more in relaxation, it's more ease, it's more surrender, it's more freedom, it's more room. You know, really experimental, investigative, boundless. We're not limited to behave in this way rather than that way. Hold the belt with one hand only, the same hand as the leg that's raised. The other hand goes on the other thigh, encouraging that softness that releases the inner groin, softness that releases the inner groin. Pull the top leg towards your head and out to its own side, breathing between the front hips. Use the breath as your mode of meditation. Relax the neck. It's a closed fist becoming an open palm. It's like the endless stream of coins that are emitted from the goddess Lakshmi's hand. If you see images of the goddess Lakshmi, this very, very auspicious goddess, but she's always got a stream of coins coming out of her Varada Mudra, which indicates just open palm giving. Just like, opulent flow of surrender. When you're ready, bring that leg back up in your own time. On the inhale, bend the lower leg once the leg is up. Release the upper leg. Put the belt down. Take 3 or 4 deep breaths. 3 or 4 deep breaths. As you're enjoying deep, natural breaths and spontaneous movements, remember everything is everything. So the breath is flowing, so will the body be. As you're enjoying, then raise up one leg. Doesn't matter which one. We're going to do the other in a minute. So raise one leg. Either one will do. And then dorsally and plantar flex your foot. So just play with the ankle. You can circle the foot or half circle it if you want. You can scrunch and unscrunch the toes. Obviously, we're exercising all the muscles through the leg that thereby move the foot. So you can really feel it right the way up. You can feel the different muscles activating. And then once your ankle feels hydrated. Then turn the heel in, toes out, cross that leg over the other one. Keep breathing through your nose. Lift the foot that's on the floor, off the floor, plunge through the gap and reach around your far shin or back thigh, or use a belt around your shin or back thigh if it's difficult to reach. Then let your head come back down and roll around a bit. That's good. You got it. Don't hold your breath. See if you can roll to find a sensation that knocks your socks off. I know you don't have socks on, but it's metaphorical socks. To find a sensation that, just knocks you out of the park. It's another metaphor. That knocks you off your tracks. That puts you in the long grass. So where a yogi wants to be, if we were using golf metaphors, which I've never tried before, then the yogi wants to be exactly where the golfer doesn't want to be. The yogi wants to be in the long grass. They want to knock the ball into the long grass. Because in that long grass, the mind is open. It doesn't know. It doesn't cling to objects of perceived knowledge. Every single human being believes that what they know about things is right. And of course, that causes all sorts of cults and clubs and wars. Cults, clubs, wars, disagreements, personal disagreements, because everyone thinks that what they know, what they perceive is real. But here we want to be knocked out of the park. We want to be knocked into the long grass by something so rich that the mind is left open, not clinging to anything at all. That's when your superpower can come through, when the mind is not clinging to anything at all. Otherwise, everything you do will be colored by parental bias, societal bias, life story so far bias, political bias, religious bias, and on and on. Okay, release when you're ready. Place your feet down. Scoot the buttocks under. Let me hear a deep breath from everybody, please. And when ready, obviously, we do the other leg similarly. So dorsiplantar, flex your foot. Back and forth, circle or half circle. Scrunch and unscrunch your toes. Enjoy. Breathe. Meditate. And when you feel, it feels good, I think, to really get activity going through your foot, going through your ankle. When you feel that that's hydrated, turn your heel in, toes out, cross that leg over the other one. Lift the foot that's on the floor off the floor, plunge through, interlace around your far shin or back thigh. And use a belt. And just range around and see if you can find, again, those sensations that knock you off your tracks. I've got this little mental image of, when we get up, if you live in a sort of very well-organized house, perhaps you've got your slippers by the bed. Some people do. They have those sort of scenarios on sitcoms, don't they? People who live proper grown-up lives. They've got their slippers by their bed. And as they come out of bed, they go straight into their slippers. Maybe that's you. It's not me, but maybe, that's you. Instead of slippers, imagine that when you got up, your feet went straight onto little train tracks and off you went along that little train line. Now, that little train line is the habit of being me going somewhere, being someone going somewhere. And that habit is formed by assumptions created by societal norms, by our upbringing, so familial and cultural biases, and by the very particular and random life story we've had so far. And on the basis of that, when we wake up at first, we don't know who we are, where we are, Then we find our little train tracks and off we go, chugging down the track. Here we want to find a sensation that knocks us off our tracks. Becoming trackless means that actions are not created by bias. Actions come out of openness. Okay, when you're ready to release, go ahead and release. Both feet down to the floor. Then roll over onto your side, facing towards this side of the room, actually, where I am now. And support your head, either support your head with your hand like this, or if that's not comfortable, extend your arm and put a block plus a blanket here as a support. Or if you can't bring your arm over your head, have a couple of blocks here under your head. So you've got option 1 with blocks. I'm miming, pretending they're there. Option 2 with blocks or blanket. Option 3. And then we're going to take the top leg up. We're going to play with it to loosen the inner thigh. So between the horizontal and vertical planes. Now we'll go back to the beginning of the class where we iterated everything is everything. And I put that for a propose that that was the most fundamental, foundational yogic understanding, that everything is everything. So that in loosening the inner thigh of your top leg, it's going to require the breath to be released. There isn't real release in the inner thigh unless there's also release in the breath. And there isn't release in the breath unless there's also release in the mind. And that can cause a little bit of problem for our habits because we're habituated not to let go, but to hold on. You know, to bear grudges, to have pet peeves, to hold on to opinions about people and ourselves. But yoga gives us the confidence. It says again and again in multiple ways, you know, with the Varada Mudra, the Abhaya Mudra, these various open palm mudras, with constant pointers to principles like emptiness, with guides like aparigraha, not grasping, you know, or taking only what is freely given, with instructive pointers like in Hatha Yoga, Shanai, Shanai, relaxed, you know, take it easy, take it easy. I could go on. We're loosening the inner thigh. Okay, once that's nice and loose, that's all we're doing. We're going to come down, knees up, come up from the side, swing yourself around. So you're still going to face towards this side of the room where the Parinirvana Buddha looks like he's doing something similar. Parinirvana Buddha is in, that's called the lion's pose that is in there, by the way. And that's the pose, apparently, in the hagiography Buddhism anyway. We're told that that's how the Buddha slept. If I'm honest, I don't believe that. And then that's how the Buddha died. That's why it's called the Parinirvana, because he had his nirvana, waking up, and he had his Parinirvana when he completely let go of all physical habituations. In other words, he died. When you're ready, pick up the top leg and play with it between the horizontal and vertical planes with a view to loosen up your inner thigh, but understand that you can't loosen your thigh unless you loosen the breath and the mind. So we've got body, brain, breath, universe, because the universe is what the mind says it is, isn't it? The universe is what the mind says it is. So we've got that second leg, we're playing with it between the horizontal and vertical planes. We're looking for a certain looseness that we feel in our breath. And we'll be asked to feel it in our mind. And we may initially find letting go mentally is some initial resistance to that, because we've been told since we were children, to accumulate, to acquire, to gain knowledge of, how our parents think we should be. That's what happens first, isn't it? Our parents have certain views, always say please and thank you. My dad, for some inexplicable reason, always wanted me to have my elbows off the table. I still don't know why. And so on. God rest his soul. Beautiful man, but odd cultural conditioning. He was probably conditioned the same himself. So in this, we're being asked to say yes to the invitation to loosen, and that means letting go of whatever can be let go of. Okay, well done. Could keep that going for a while, but we'll bring the leg down, knees up, come up from the side, nice and calm and nice and easy. Take a wide stride, probably sitting on a block. If you're sitting on the block should be turned skew-if, so the corner faces forwards and your thighs release down either side of the block. So it's this Upavishta Konasana, unless that is, you can sit up very tall and light without the block, well, that's fine as well, but most of us will find it better with the block. The buttock flesh is drawn out and back. The thighs should be free if you're on a block, they're not touching the block. The sitting bones come forwards and we sit up tall. We're going to take our hands cupped like this. We're going to turn them back behind us, fingers point back. We're going to turn our thighs to face straight up. We're going to roll the shoulder blades down the back and lift the chest up. Good, looks good. Breathe through your nose if you can. If you're leaning back, just push yourself forwards. And if your thighs feel tight, don't worry. Take a deep breath or two. Good job you're here. If I were to take a survey of men and women in this pose, and definitely the men are tighter in the room than the women in the room. I don't know if that's a general thing, but love you guys. You're doing very, very well. And keep breathing into it. Because it's a big stretch, right? So keep letting the thighs go. Toes facing straight up if you can. Inhale, lift and turn towards your right foot, where you get a chance to see if your right leg is turning out. Many of the guys in the room who are adorable and cute, because your legs are rolling out like little teddy bears, it makes you adorable and cute. But if you wouldn't mind just not being so cute for a moment and bringing your leg to face straight up rather than rolling back, it's quite tricky. Well done. I appreciate you. Keep turning, keep breathing. Now we're going to turn to the other leg and we're going to look at that foot and see if that can be straight up as well. I'm not saying it's not adorable that your legs roll out like little teddy bears. It is. But right now, we're going to do what we can to bring them upright. It's difficult. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you as well as a person. Keep breathing into it. Jaw soft. As Elvis nearly said, but not quite, return to sender or return to center. And we're going to bring our legs back together. Hopefully you can. We're going to sit in a pose called Siddhasana. I'm going to recommend sitting on a block. There's only one sensible way to sit on a brick block. I did once see somebody experimenting with a brick block, and I said, there's only one sensible way. And then I saw him thinking, well, is there? And he tried sitting on it like that, and he realized, no, that's not going to work out at all. So there is only one sensible way to sit on a brick block. The heels are lined up with each other in the midline of the body, either both feet on the floor, or you can have one up and one down in Siddhasana. The buttock flesh should be drawn out and back. We're going to take one arm up through the central channel, because time is not on my side. It's almost a Rolling Stone song. And we're going to push up an Om from the pelvic floor. So you've got to concentrate on this as you do it, all the way up through an imagined channel in the center of the body and up through the crown of the head. The Om, you've got to physically feel it pushing up as you chant it. So let's do it together. Take a deep breath down to the pelvic floor. deep breath in, followed by, you know what follows, out breath. Drop those shoulders. Now, and let it not be said that I'm not a very generous man, very forthcoming. And so in my generosity now, I'm going to give us a 67-second corpse pose. So don't rush, but when you're ready, you can bring yourself down onto your back for your 67-second corpse pose. But don't worry, it doesn't start until you're laid down. So don't rush. Take your time, take your time. Quality, not quantity, ain't it? I mean, it'd be nice to have both. Unfortunately, you've been too good at class. Time's run away. And when you lay in your corpse pose, which actually you got into remarkably quickly, well done. Make sure your hands are not on your yoga mat, that your shoulder blades are scooted under your body so your chest is lifted and buoyant. A little under they go. And its eyes closed. And just feel the weight, the full weight of the arms, legs, and head. The arms, legs, and head. Notice if there's any tingling or radiance across the body. Slow and calm. Feel into the body with a little bit of movement. Actually gave you 71 seconds, so that's pretty good. Feel into movement in your toes. Just move your toes. And let that movement move into your ankles as well. And then fingers. Perhaps you can feel energy spreading into the body, and wrists. And then little stretches that feel natural. Just any stretches of the body, or stretching legs, stretching arms. Maybe rubbing the eyes, running a hand through the hair, anything that starts making you feel like you're waking up. And when you feel ready to do so, then bend your legs, place the soles of the feet on the floor. Scoot the buttocks under towards the heels, and then take a deep breath in and out. Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 deep breaths. Roll onto your side, facing away from this side of the room. We've got this lovely shrine with the green Tara. Then rolling slowly back towards this side of the room. Letting light and color filter gently into your eyes. Bringing yourself up nice and easy from the side. And bringing your hands to prayer position. And if you agree with these words that I'm going to say, just say Om out loud, which means I agree to that. And if you don't, then don't. May any benefit that we've gained in our acting in this way this morning go to the alleviation of the suffering of absolutely all beings. Om. Super appreciate you guys. I don't want to let you go. It's gone too quick, hasn't it? For me, anyway. Thank you so much for coming. Do take one of my flyers. Thanks, Zoomers, as well, very much indeed for coming. I really appreciate you. Love and peace. Stay out of trouble now. Love you.